In this episode of the Smoogleville workshop, I'll be showing you how we fixed this door using a wooden infill. Welcome to the Smoogleville workshop, and today I'm trying out an idea to fix a door that has a cracked panel. And so the idea is that I will use this router bit. This is a straight shank 1/2 inch router bit to cut a groove in the door where the crack is, to kind of route out where the crack's at, pour glue in, and then I've got some pieces I cut here on the bandsaw to exactly 1/2 inch, and the idea is that I will sink those into the door like that, glue that in, and then that's almost perfect depth as well. Glue that in where the crack is now, and that should stop the crack opening up, because even if the wood expands and contracts again, the crack will have to split this piece of wood in order to let the draft in. Well folks, before we get any further with this episode, I need to introduce you to somebody. We have a new employee here at the Smoogleville workshop, and his name is Smoogle Bear. This, folks, is Smoogle Bear. Perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Howdy folks, Smoogle Bear is the name. I'll be keeping an eye on things around here. Workshops can be dangerous places, so you need a safety officer, and that's me.
Exactly. We've hired him to make sure that there aren't any accidents in the workshop. As he said, it's a dangerous place. So he's going to be here busting my chops every time I forget to put my mask on or my glasses or goggles on, So he's here for everyone's safety, and welcome aboard, Smoogle Bear.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm just using the bandsaw to cut some exactly 1/2 inch strips, and so I'm just gonna.
Hey, Smudge, what are you forgetting?
Oh yeah, all right. Goggles. Don't forget your goggles. So I spent the next few minutes adjusting the thickness of the little strips that I'd cut to fit into the groove that I will ultimately put into the door panel tomorrow. And so I set up the sanding machine to just take a few thou off the wood, just to get that nice snug fit, so it'll look nice and tight tomorrow, and the glue will dry nicely, and we'll be able to seal that door up so we're not getting any drafts through the crack. So I think we're in good shape. I'm going to back off the adjustment on this slightly, but I'm going to pack up now, ready for going on site tomorrow. We're going to need to set up a bucket with some tools and take some of these potential inserts with us so that we can fix this cracked panel, because it's letting quite a lot of cold air in. Surprising, a small crack in the door like that can really mess up your fuel bill. So hopefully we'll be able to fix that before the winter. So we'll see you tomorrow. And so it's good night from me,
and it's good night from him.
Good night. We'll see you in the morning.
Nighty night.
Well, good morning folks, day 2. I did a little bit of research on that door, what wood it was made out of. I could see it was a soft wood. Looks like it's high grade, basically Douglas fir. So what I'm going to do, rather than use these radiator, I was using radiator pine because it doesn't have too many like knots in it, but that's not going to look right. You need a nice straight grain. Douglas fir's, well known for its straight grain. But trying to get high grade Douglas fir is not easy. So what I'm going to try and do is, this has got very small knots and very few knots in it. So I'm going to try and get on the bandsaw and cut myself some 1/2 by 1/2 strips out of just this piece of regular softwood from the local big box, you know, because I think that will actually look more, I'll be able to stain that up and that'll look closer to the actual finish on the door.
Huh, good luck with that.
So I'm going to do that right now. Right, let's see how these new Doug fir versions. Oh yeah, actually. Oh, that's perfect. Oh yeah, that is really good. Huh. Not bad at all. Okay, that will certainly shore up that door panel. And that's nice and snug, so that's a better cut on the bandsaw. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is we've taken the door off the hinges, and I'm going to cut this so it'll sit down on the panel, and then I'm going to run the router here and take out this cracked area. I'm actually going to drill it out. I'm going to put an infill in there, and then I'm actually going to glue that in, and that should seal that up. Now I'm going to do a bit of chisel work to clean up the end. So let's get this cut to length. Tack it in position at 1.75 inches from the crack. I checked the distance to the center of the router, and it's 1.75 inches. So if I set this at 1.75 inches from the crack, that should allow me to run up there straight. So that's it's hard to nail because that's quite bouncy. It's soaking up a lot of the energy from the hammer. Right, okay, now let's get the router set. So with the guide in place, I was able to route a nice straight groove into the panel right over where the crack was, and this had the added bonus of removing all of that caulking that had been put there as a temporary measure to try and seal the door up. Having cut as much of the groove as I could with the router, I was going to have to finish up the groove using some chisels, do some hand chiseling there to take it to the edges, because the router was actually running into the frame of the panel, and so it couldn't go right to the end there. But no problem, just clean those out with a chisel, and we'll be in good shape to get the filling piece put in. Let's talk about this groove. So I've used a chisel to get up the end where I couldn't get with the router there, but you can see I've routed out where the crack is. Now the idea is that when the wood goes in there and we glue that in, even if there's some movement in this wood, there's an overlap. So it would have to shrink by, which it won't do of course, it would have to shrink by, what's that, probably well over 1/8 of an inch before the crack opened up again. So that should keep that nicely sealed. So now what I got to do, because of the change of plan, what I'm actually going to have to do is cut this piece of wood by hand. I'm going to rip down the length of it, to make it thinner, so I can get it in there without too much trouble. All right. So just to get you up to speed on what's going on here. The door panel was a lot thinner than I thought. Originally I was going to cut a 1/2 inch deep by 1/2 inch wide groove, but clearly that was not going to work. I would have actually gone right through the panel. The panels themselves were probably about 1/2 inch thick. So I've had to rethink this, and I'm now ripping down the 1/2 inch stick to get myself about roughly 1/4 inch so that I can get it flatter to the door much more easily with a lot less planing and sanding. But of course ripping wood with a slightly blunt saw isn't ideal. So this was an unexpected adjustment to the original approach that I planned. Next time I'll listen to my instincts and bring various sizes while I have access to a bandsaw. That would have been the smart move. Now I've got okay, let's see.
Good job, buddy. You okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just you get so used to using power tools that when you do it by hand, it's like, whew, I'm feeling that. Having ripped the cut, it was time to place it in and just really dress the thing and get it matched in with the panel as best I could. Next, it was time to bring the sander in to try and really get things flattened out and blended in, but it's becoming very clear that the brand new Doug fir and the original Doug fir are very different colors. So as you can see, we were trying some stain on there to try and darken that down a bit, but the minute you rub that out with a cloth and try and do some sanding again to blend it in, it really doesn't. You can see there the brush is lifting it off. So we're just going to have to let nature take its course, I think, and let the sunshine and the daylight cause that Doug fir to get darker. The last job was to get some polyurethane back on the door. It was a little dry. This should help stabilize it from any further cracking, and hopefully the door will last a few more years and remain draft free during the winter months when even a small crack like the one we filled today can actually let in quite a lot of cold air and can impact your heating costs. Please click the like button if you found this episode helpful, and we'd love to have you as a subscriber, as there's always something interesting going on in the Smoogleville workshop.
Bye-bye. See you next time.